glorified fighting on the battlefield and everything to do with playing those PC games. And that's who you have to make calls.
What's interesting is that Austin once served at Fort Drum. So they have a connection there as well.
Nice job.
Thanks.
All right, more Fox Friends coming up as fears grow over the safety of Afghan interpreters. We're going to talk to one next on Fox and Friends.
As someone who resembles someone else, I appreciate that Liberty Mutual knows everyone's unique. That's why they customize your car insurance, so you only pay for what you need. I mean, just because you look like someone else doesn't mean you eat off the floor or yell at the vacuum or need flea medication. Oh, yeah, that's the spot. Only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
You have the best pizza in town and the worst wait times.
Table 4 up.
You need to hire.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Indeed Instant Match instantly delivers quality candidates matching your job description. Visit Indeed.com/hire.
These used cars look the same, but how can you tell which one's the better deal?
Bring in Dad from Sarasota. Hey, Dad.
This one's broken.
Dads are great, but let's say, show me the Carfax value. You'll get the most accurate price based on the vehicle's accident history. Look for me and stop overpaying. Shop at the all-new Carfax.com.
I was getting run down. I was coaching. I coach all the time. I work early in the morning. I needed energy. So I started taking Balance of Nature, and I could coach better. I could hit the ball harder at my players. I can make an overhand serve, which I have not been able to do in a long time. And my players noticed too, like, you've got more energy.
Balance of Nature does give me that peace of mind. You know, instead of trying to isolate certain vitamins and minerals, you're taking the whole thing. I mean, I think it's the closest thing to actually eating real fruit and vegetables.
With Balance of Nature, immediately I noticed that my energy levels picked up. Even with not a lot of sleep, I could function and be the mom I needed to be for my son.
Start your journey with the best fruit and vegetable product on the market by going to balanceofnature.com or by calling 1-800-2468-751. And don't forget to get 35% off your first order as a preferred customer by using discount code FOX News.
So you have diabetes. Here are some easy rules. No sugar, no pizza, no foods you love. Stress, no stress. Exercise, but no days off. Easy, no? But with Freestyle Libre 14-Day, you can take the mystery out of your diabetes. Now you know.
Sir, do you know what you want to order?
Yes. Freestyle Libre 14-Day. Try it for free.
With the timeless protection of ADT, it's safe to say...
Hey, Google, unlock the front door.
When you've helped save more lives than any other home security brand, it's safe to say... There's a reason millions of people trust ADT to help protect what matters most.
Hey, King Midas, people should know we can service their whole car.
Yes.
Tires, brakes, oil, everything. Everything. We must tell the people.
Right now at Midas, buy 3 Cooper tires and get 1 free. Find your tires now at Midas.com.
One of my favorite supplements is Cunol Turmeric. Turmeric helps with healthy joints and inflammation support. Unlike regular turmeric supplements, Cunol's superior absorption helps me get the full benefits of turmeric. The brand I trust is Cunol.
You've done a lot of this, and plenty of this. It's time for something like this. Now get a $20 Best Western gift card every night you stay. Take the leap. Book now at bestwestern.com.
The Dark Truth in Afghanistan. Lara Logan examines the ongoing extremist threat and sits down with the top voice of the Taliban.
Will you say that you renounce Al-Qaeda specifically?
Don't miss Sacrificing Afghanistan. Part 1 in an all-new season of Lara Logan Has No Agenda. Sunday on Fox News Channel.
We start this final hour with a Fox News alert. U.S. citizens are being told now in a new update to stay away from the Kabul airport.
And this is as we get exclusive Fox News video showing buses full of Afghan refugees arriving at a Virginia community college this morning for shelter.
Sabor Sakazada, who served alongside Pete in Afghanistan, is joining us now. Sabor, thank you for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
All right, so you have a connection, obviously, to everything that's going on the ground in Afghanistan. Tell us what you're experiencing, what you're hearing.
It's an utter chaos, and it's an epic failure. The individuals that I have on the ground are my loved ones, my family members, and we've been trying to get them out of there through that gate without much success because, like I said, this has been an epic failure on all fronts. I can't believe this is happening.
Abdul, break down the particulars because I believe it's your brother, your sister, your brother's wife, and 2 kids, one of which has a special immigrant visa for working with the U.S., another has a pending one. So they have paperwork that should allow them, per the President of the United States, to get to a gate. How many times have they tried, and you're working with Marines, soldiers, you're in touch with a lot of people. You and I have been talking, candidly, reaching out to Congressman Michael Waltz and others, so you've got a lot of irons in the fire trying to figure this out. Still with all of that, what has happened when your brother and your family have tried to get to the gate to get through?
Yeah, this have been a massive operation, getting every congressman and woman involved, getting folks that I know involved, soldiers that I've worked with. Obviously we have a green pass, we have a visa that was issued to our family by the U.S. Embassy, but just to get to the gates, you have to go through a wall of people. And all of these people that are there, they're not there to get to United States or get to safety. You got people that are abusing women. You got people that are abusing children. You got looters there that are there simply to distract and steal stuff from people. So like I said, this have been a massive failure. U.S. foreign policy in Afghanistan and particularly in that region have been a roller coaster. But there's nothing that tops this. They could have not screwed this up any better, in my mind. You got loved ones. I get to hear on the podium from the White House to the Pentagon staff to the State Department staff getting them behind the podium and say we're going to stand behind the allies and get them out to safety. So here we are. Where is the support? I get to hear something as a talk to talk, and the reality tells me something different. We've been on the phone with my loved ones. We've been weeping. We've been crying. We've been praying. I've been begging people to please help me. I've been begging soldiers that my brother got into 5 feet of the gate, telling that we have everything you need. Please let me through. And they still refuse to accept. They still refuse to let the brother and the families in.
Let me say something real quick, because I knew Sabur as Abdul in Afghanistan. He was not just a translator or an interpreter. And you know this, Abdul, because when I arrived at CTCA, you were an institution there. That place didn't run without Abdul. The classes didn't happen, the instructions didn't happen, the conversations with the Afghans never happened. Nothing happened without Sabur. So this is not an issue of I kind of knew Abdul a little bit in Afghanistan. This is the issue of men like him, and your family was under threat when we were there. I remember you and your brother and others riding back on a motorcycle, trying to get back home, and still already then being threatened by the Taliban. This is someone who has dedicated over a decade of his life directly to working with U.S. soldiers and Marines, who now is simply saying, I have a pass to get out of the country. Find a way to make it happen. Abdul, when you hear the president yesterday say, everything's fine, it's open, no one's having a problem, we're working with the Taliban, what do you say to that?
Listen, I don't like to get into the politics of criticizing politicians, but if the president can hear my voice or hear this interview, everything is not fine. Families are dying. My own niece has a head concussion. My sister has her neck hurt. My brother has a broken arm because he's got beaten. So if you're listening to this, please know that everything is not fine, and the reality is another chaos on the ground. And I know you could do things to fix this, but please get the right expert around you, because the experts you have are getting it wrong every single time.
Abdul, can I ask you a tough question? But there's a lot of Americans who say, I get it. Let's get the women and children out. But why aren't the men back there fighting the Taliban? I know they're awful people. I know they have, a price on the heads, especially of people who help the Americans. But at some point, isn't this your country? I try to imagine it as if it were, if this were happening here. I would see our men protecting our women and children, and our men going out and fighting and staying there.
Yeah, no, I mean, this is a legitimate question, and it's a valid question to ask. But in my mind, through my eyes, we've been doing that for the past 20 years. Yeah. We've been fighting for the past 20 years. Yeah. It had become a family tradition. Why do you think we stuck to allies of the United States to become an ally to the United States? Who do you think we were fighting for? We were fighting to establish a country where it was safe and sound for everyone to live without fear, with accountability, with rule of law. You know, Afghanistan is perhaps the only country on this planet right now that does not have a president and does not have a prisoner inside a prison. So what does that tell you? That means there's other chaos. There's nobody ruling. Everybody's on their own. You find somebody, God knows who, and they could kill you in a matter of seconds for the dollars in your pocket, for the money that you have in your pockets, and there will be no accountability. That's how sad it is to be there. So in my perspective, in my mind, my family has done more than enough to serve not only Afghanistan, but also this nation where we're in right now. So, you know, I get the narrative. I don't buy it because it does not apply. Those who question that do not understand what's going on in Afghanistan, because, you know, the family tradition of us, from the oldest brother to the youngest right now who's stuck in Afghanistan, we have all did our turns. Pete knows this. We did our turn, and we're trying to do this so we can get out to safety. We did our part. Now it's on U.S.'s turn. The ball is on their court. White House needs to fix this so it can get the families to safety.
I mean, Abdul, I watched you with me pull bodies out of a personnel carrier outside of our base. You rolled out with us. It has been your fight as much as anybody. And if anyone's been vetted, it's you. Do you ever have a moment of regret at all, Abdul, for working with the United States? Did you were committed to the cause all in, and we reinforced that by saying, we got your back, brother. And we worked, and you got to the States years ago. But how many people there are regretting that decision?
Well, you know, one of those people, you know, it's not more regret as in a betrayal, a sense of feeling a betrayal, right? Because, you know, I wasn't supposed to be on that convoy to go drag people out of that burning vehicle, but I volunteered. I said, I'm going to go. Yesterday, and the day before yesterday, I volunteered to go back and deploy and help people there because I have multilingual abilities to speak the language and can help the soldiers and the Marines on the ground, but no one can get me on the ground. Right now, that offer stands. Get me there, and I'll save my family, and I'll save the rest of the people that are there. Yes, I can't do everything by myself, but I can guarantee you I will do what I did on that mission that you and I were together to pull dead bodies out of the vehicle. So you know, not a cell in my body tells me that from that moment on that I voluntarily jumped on a vehicle with nothing on me, try to go out and help. I still feel the same energy. But there's obviously the sense of betrayals because you did your part. I did when I was asked. I responded when they called upon me.
Right.
But you know, here I am calling the world, the international community, coalition forces. My brother's stuck, and I need to get him out of there. Someone needs to help. I don't get it. There's a system in place. If there's an expression in my culture, if you can put a man in the moon, you can definitely get these guys out of there.
We have something like that here too. Go ahead.
Sabor, that sense of betrayal. I want to ask you more about that. You know, it's been sort of baked into the cake for quite some time that the United States would be leaving Afghanistan. What I hear from you, and please tell me if I'm correct, the sense of betrayal, though, is the chaos in which it's ensued and the I don't know, tens of thousands of people that it's left behind. So in other words, how quickly did this sense of betrayal manifest for you? Has this been something coming a long time coming, or is this something that all of a sudden in the last week you've been like, oh my gosh?
You know, I think with this massive operation of sort of evacuation that has taken place, and I think the two great mistakes that U.S. made is attaching a time frame into the whole thing. And the second greatest thing they did was that they tried to get out of Afghanistan without getting their allies out. And they realized that they made a terrible mistake. And so they went back, try to save all of those allies. They had time. They could have gotten all of this done without doing any of this. Look at the cost of this operation that is taking place right now. They had to go back in an occupied land by another insurgency group and occupy a piece of land so they could secure their own loved ones or their own allies. This could have happened. This shouldn't have happened from the first place. Yeah. So to get to the point as to how some of these things happen and why it happened. This was all done by design. This simply could have been avoided. They could have gotten all the allies out, and they already had a peace agreement with the Taliban, and they could have just said, you know what? We had an agreement. We're standing our ground. We're upholding our end of the deal. Yeah. Here we go. They made a mistake. Hundreds of people's lives have been lost since Saturday, the collapse of the Afghan government. But here's one more thing that's important to know, right? Because United States talks about how Afghan security forces were capable of defending the nation or its protecting, and they had a greater number against the insurgencies that they could stand against. But they lacked morale. They lacked energy. The Afghan security forces had all the right equipment and the tools to fight back, but they didn't have the right leadership. They were always dependent on a foreign entity to help them do this. And so when they were left out in the middle of the fight, in the middle of the battle, they all sort of retreat. They start running away. Yeah. So right now, the U.S. is fighting a war with an insurgency that has a U.S. tax dollar paid for a weapon that is on the hand of the insurgency, and they're fighting U.S. soldiers. If that makes sense to you.
Yeah, no, that's totally demoralizing. And by the way, you're so right. I mean, I've sat here. Your buddy here has been trying to get interpreters out for a long time. He's shining a light on this topic, and on commercial breaks for weeks. For months, I've been saying, Pete, why can't they get them out? Why can't? And he would just say bureaucracy. I mean, this could have been done months ago.
The special, we've been in touch on this, on the special immigrant visa process, which has been backlogged for years and years and years. But you would have thought they could have figured out how to speed it up, knowing that, especially with the intelligence we had of the Taliban's pending takeover. Sabur, you do a lot.
1975, but this is Saigon on a steroid.
Yeah. Well,
this is how bad it is. So thanks for having me on the show.
I hear Afghanistan's looking for a new president.
Thank you so much.
You got it, brother. Thank you.
Trey Yingst is live now in Qatar, and he joins us with the latest as Americans are being told not to come to the airport in Kabul. Trey, quite a turnaround from what we heard from the President of the United States less than 24 hours ago.
Exactly. President Biden yesterday described a scene outside the airport in Kabul that was calm and orderly. The images on the ground do not match up to those statements. We've seen video this morning of people for the 6th day charging, trying to get into the airport as American troops look to maintain order. Pure chaos outside, leading the U.S. Embassy in Kabul to release a statement to Americans who are on the ground in Afghanistan, saying this: because of potential security threats outside of the gates at the Kabul airport, we are advising U.S. citizens to avoid traveling to the airport and to avoid airport gates at this time, unless you receive individual instructions from a U.S. government representative to do so. Other countries taking similar actions with their citizens who are currently on the ground, and allies of Americans as well. Here in Qatar, Doha officials have basically made clear they are going to take as many Afghan evacuees as possible. We're standing outside of a location right now where a number of people who arrived in Qatar this week are staying, at least temporarily. People describing scenes of really difficult times on the ground in Afghanistan. One man we spoke with said it took him 3 attempts to get to the airport, and even then, they then sat on the runway for hours, unsure of what would happen. But we do know President Biden spoke overnight with the Emir of Qatar, Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani, and thanked him for his support. President Biden saying none of this would have been possible without the support of Qatar and their military. Guys.
Thank you, Trey.
Thank you. Real quick, Trey, do you know how we're deciding or designating who goes to what countries or to what location? Is it, for especially, I know the citizens, U.S. citizens would come to the United States, but for the special immigrant visa and others, what is the process? Are they holding certain people in certain places for a while? What do you know?
The evacuees that we spoke with on the ground in Qatar said it's unclear by the hour where they will be headed. One man said that he was going to go to Ukraine on a flight, and then that flight got canceled. Another person saying they're heading to the United States. So I think the initial evacuation process is focusing on getting people out of Afghanistan. They're going to places like Doha, Dubai. We also know Islamabad in Pakistan, taking a number of people, and then from there they head to other locations. Overnight, 300 Afghan evacuees traveled from Doha to a U.S. base in Germany. Those people likely to head on to the United States after that, but it gives you a sense of how quickly things are changing with this evacuation process.
For sure.
Thank you so much, Trey.
Trey Yingst, thank you very much for the latest.
Thank you, Trey.
And the latest is from Trey, we don't know where they're going, and we don't know what the process is. Even when it's not working at the very beginning, it creates all these tailspin effects later on in the process, too. Well, it's very similar to our southern border.
It is actually. It is.
It's a scary sense.
And in fact, they're compounding crises because we're taking apparently border patrol agents, and they're asking, at least, border patrol agents are asking to be repurposed to handle the situation in Afghanistan. So you have two crises. By the way, both of the making
Man-made.
of the President of the United States. Most presidencies, like 9/11, are measured by your response to a crisis. Let's be clear. These are crises created by this presidency. And now they must be handled.
It's such a great point. And you're right. Our Border Patrol already overwhelmed, already demoralized by what's been going on. And some people, such as Stephen Miller, saying, why are some the ones who aren't U.S. citizens, why are they coming here? They would be, it'd be an easier transfer for them to go to countries nearby, also culturally less shocking to them. It's not clear to me why we wouldn't do it that way.
That's a balance. It's a fair balance and a fair conversation to be had, because I know from just having talked to Abdul there, I know guys who are there who have earned the right to be American citizens, far more than anyone jumping across our border, right? But at the same time, where do you draw that line? And how many family members, and how far does it extend, and where do they go, and what does it cost? And it's a legit conversation we're going to continue to have because of chaos. All right, we have a few additional headlines this morning as well, starting with a Fox News alert. A live look in Paris, where protesters are marching against COVID-19 health passes. It's the 6th weekend of protests over the passes, which require people to show they are vaccinated or have tested negative for the virus to enter restaurants, bars, trains, planes, and certain venues. Actually, they're protesting on behalf of us, because that could be coming our direction. And progressives are applauding an Alabama doctor for refusing to treat patients who are not vaccinated against COVID-19. Dr. Jason Valentine posted a sign saying he will stop seeing unvaccinated patients starting October 1st. The photo was later deleted. According to AL.com, Valentine says people have no excuse not to be vaccinated, and he does not want to see people die from the virus. His story has gotten thousands of likes and tweets on liberal, as always, social media sites. And disgraced soon-to-be former Governor Andrew Cuomo's lawyer holds a press conference demanding New York's Attorney General fix her report on sexual harassment allegations against the outgoing governor.
It is incumbent upon the chief legal officer of our state to make corrections and supplement the record. That is a fair report, and that's a report that the public and the Assembly can rely upon.
The lawyer attacked the claims of 5 Cuomo accusers, saying she hasn't been giving access to any evidence. She made the remarks on the same day movers were seen at the governor's mansion in Albany. Monday is Cuomo's last disgraced day in office. And those are your headlines.
All right. Coming up, the Taliban yearning for legitimacy on the world stage. So what is it like to actually negotiate with a radical terror group? Our next guest is no stranger to it after negotiating with them firsthand.
In this market, you'll find Fisher Investments is different than other money managers.
Different how? Don't you just ride the wave?
No. We actively manage client portfolios based on our forward-looking views of the market.
But you still sell investments that generate high commissions, right?
No, we don't sell commission products. We're a fiduciary, obligated to act in our clients' best interests.
So when do you make more money? Only when your clients make more money?
Yep. We do better when our clients do better. At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different.
to workouts and new adventures. You hope the more you give, the less they'll miss. But even if your teen was vaccinated against meningitis in the past, they may be missing vaccination for meningitis B. Although uncommon, up to 1 in 5 survivors of meningitis will have long-term consequences. Now, as you're thinking about all the vaccines your teen might need, make sure you ask your doctor if your teen is missing meningitis B vaccination.
You've done this, and plenty of that. You tried this, and you're way over that. You're ready. Take the leap. You've been safe and will continue to be. You need value and the right place. At Best Western, we have one for you at our family of hotels. Book now at bestwestern.com.
Chaos in Afghanistan. As the crisis continues, what is Biden's next move? Plus, COVID booster shot and the new vaccine timeline. Chris breaks it down on a can't miss Fox News Sunday.
Helping families with mesothelioma is all we do. My firm has been offering a free book on mesothelioma for over 10 years. Since that time, hundreds of people with mesothelioma have trusted us to represent them. We have local offices throughout the U.S. and there is no risk to you. Mesothelioma really is all we do. Call us at 1-800-333-4485. That's 1-800-333-4485. Or go to mesobook.com.
It's the biggest sale of the year on the new Sleep Number 360 Smart Bed. It's the most comfortable, dually adjustable, foot warming, temperature balancing, proven quality night's sleep we've ever made. Save 50% on the new Sleep Number 360 limited edition Smart Bed, plus free premium delivery. Ends Monday.
I had been giving Coley kibble. It never looked like real food. With the farmer's dog, you can see the pieces of turkey. It smells like actual food. As he's aged, he's still quite energetic and youthful. I really attribute that to diet.
Get started at longlivedogs.com.
As we continue to work the logistics of evacuation, we're in constant contact with the Taliban, working to ensure civilians have safe passage to the airport. To the best of our knowledge, the Taliban checkpoints, they are letting through people showing American passports.
Welcome back to Fox and Friends. Well, President Biden says he's working with the Taliban to evacuate American citizens safely out of Afghanistan. But his claims are vastly different from the information coming out of Kabul, including reports of some Americans being beaten and harassed. So what's it really like to negotiate with the Taliban? Well, let's ask our next guest. He's been to Doha, Qatar, twice to negotiate with a Taliban leader. Adam Bowler joins me now. Adam, what is it like to negotiate with the Taliban?
I mean, you're negotiating with a militia, right? A terrorist group. And so there's two sides to them. I think first, they are a relatively disciplined group. And so you can have discussions back and forth. The other thing I'll say is, you know, we talk about the Taliban here. We may be giving them too much credit. They're not particularly sophisticated. So one of the things, there's a guy with a larger beard was either sniffing or eating his beard during the talk. Wow. There was someone else that during the bilateral discussion was picking his nose and kind of put his hand over while he was doing it. You can still tell. So you know, at the end of the day, Taliban is a militia, and they're relatively tribal. But I mean, you can have discussions with them.
It's interesting. Our last president wrote The Art of the Deal. Many of his adversaries, people who had to deal with him and make deals with him, said that they liked that he came out of a business background, that, you know, he was unpredictable, so he's kind of a tough negotiator. How do you think that President Biden measures up in the same circumstance? What kind of a negotiator do you predict he would be or is being with the Taliban right now?
So my concern with what we're seeing right now is that when you negotiate with a militia, you need to have the muscle behind you too. And one of the, I think when we were negotiating with the Taliban, it was right after Soleimani, it was right after taking action in the Middle East. And in that region, strength is respected. And so my concern right now is diplomacy is fine, but diplomacy without strength and follow through doesn't work with a terrorist group.
Yeah, there's a lot of weakness, even leading up to this event. And some people say that this whole operation was botched because there was an artificial deadline that, President Biden and his team wanted to have this great talking point, these bragging rights to say on 9/11, we're out of Afghanistan, and that this was sort of rushed. And that's why this happened the way it did. I don't know if you agree or not, but what do you think about what has happened as we go into 9/11? What's the message there?
I think the United States always needs to operate from a position of strength. And so we had the opportunity here to execute this well, not to execute with our tail between our legs. So I think there's bipartisan view here that the United States can't spend 20 more years in Afghanistan. Everybody agrees. The key is, how do you execute on that, and how do you depart with strength? And now what you're seeing, the situation on the ground now where folks are worried about an al-Qaeda attack, because al-Qaeda is still in Afghanistan around the gates, and that's why they're pushing people back. I think it's time to show some strength and to make sure we get our people out. And I don't think it's too late.
Yeah, well, that's interesting, and hopefully it's not. I think Americans agree. A lot of Americans wanted to get out, but they wanted to do it on our terms and without a national humiliation. Thank you so much, Adam. Really appreciate it.
Always happy to be here.
Great perspective. All right, well, breaking this morning, the U.S. Embassy now telling Americans not to go to the airport in Kabul. And while the Afghanistan crisis spirals, President Biden and Vice President Harris head out of town. Kayleigh McEnany joins us live to react. Stay with us.
Now there's a new way Experian Boost can raise your credit scores.
I boosted 16 points using Experian.
I downloaded the app, I linked some of my streaming services, and boom, my credit score went up.
Now paying for Netflix, Hulu, and more can boost your credit scores. Download the Experian app now.
Good boy. Hold my pouch. Trust us. Us kids are ready to take things into our own hands. Don't think so? Hold my pouch.
Finding new routes to reach your customers and new ways for them to reach you is what business is all about. It's what the United States Postal Service has always been about. So as your business changes, we're changing with it, with e-commerce that runs at the speed of now. Next day and 2-day shipping nationwide, same-day shipping across town, returns right from the doorstep, and deliveries 7 days a week. It's a whole new world out there. Let's not keep it waiting.
Look, this isn't my first rodeo. And let me tell you something. I wouldn't be here if I thought reverse mortgages took advantage of any American senior. Or worse, that it was some way to take your home. It's just a loan designed for older homeowners, and it's helped over 1 million Americans. A reverse mortgage loan isn't some kind of trick to take your home. It's a loan, like any other. Big difference